Hello everybody, I'd like to show off my Arcade1Up RetroPie mod that I've done using the Mortal Kombat 2 arcade cabinet. Yeah, that's me. A lot of glare on that monitor. But so I kind of want to go through what I did and how it works. I've used the tutorials that are all over YouTube to combine the RetroPie with an amp, the LCD control board, and I've even kept the original on-off switch and volume switch. They work. So obviously the first difference you'll notice is I of course have the select buttons, coin buttons on the front here, and I've also added a USB I guess hub. It's a 2-port USB. I've got my keyboard sensor plugged in there, and this is actually my retro controller that I use for the retro consoles. It's a decent controller. It's not the best, but I've had it for a long time, and it's got all the right buttons for most of the consoles. All 4 shoulder buttons on top. The 6 buttons. That's good for Genesis games. The analog sticks they push in, D-pad. So it's a good controller. It works. I like it. And so that's just plugged in there. And so I'm gonna, before I turn it on, I'm gonna turn it around the back so you can see how I plugged in everything. So let me just turn this around real quick. Make sure I don't pull any wires. Now on the back, so instead of having it screwed in, again, I've just done what I've seen on other videos. This is actually just Velcroed right here. So just pull that off. See, I've got the Velcro there, and then down in the middle there. And then it just kind of comes out like that. So I'll put this to the side. And here you see the inside. I know it's not exactly clean, but I will get to that eventually, make it look a little better. But this is just a quick, run through of kind of what it looks like. I hope there's enough lighting. Sorry if it's kind of dark. I don't know if I can turn the flash on this. Yeah, so obviously there's the Raspberry Pi LCD control board. Now, on the control board, I don't have the ground wire plugged in because originally I did, but it was causing interference with the picture, so I actually had to disconnect that. It works, and yeah, I know it's on a just kind of taped. I'm using double-sided tape, piece of cardboard. It's not great. I may fix that. So HDMI, I just have that kind of wrapped up, going to the Pi. Of course, standard power cord, and the audio that's going to the amp. Just using the, like I said, I'm using the internal speaker that's already built in. You had to cut. I had to cut the connector off and then just plug the 2 wires in here. So sound is controlled through the amp. And so on the Pi, HDMI cable, and I've got all the USB. Sorry, I know it's dark. This may not be the best video, but USB going to the joysticks, USB encoders for all the buttons, same deal. Now, for power, I've got this Mosberry circuit board. Basically what this does, when you turn it off, it sends a safe shutdown script to the Raspberry Pi, so it shuts it down completely. And then I've also got it connected to this this power relay, so when the Pi is shut down, this relay is connected to the Pi. So when the Pi is shut down, then this disconnects power to anything plugged into the normally off ports or outlets. And normally off would be the LCD controller and the amp. So when this shuts down, everything shuts down. You completely cut off power, which is really nice. I like that. And again, when you just turn it on, the cabinet, then everything comes back on. So that's really nice. And so again, it's not clean, but this is pretty standard to what everybody else has done. So yeah, and this is just the extra buttons I got when I got the USB encoders, and just extra parts down there. So pretty basic. Again, I'm going to clean it up eventually, but it's alright right now. So turn it back on, I'll show you how it looks when you power it up. But I'm really enjoying this a lot. It was a lot of fun putting it together. I didn't really have any major problems aside from the interference from the monitor, but that was an easy enough fix. So we turn it on, and you'll see that you'll hear it click, and then everything will turn on. So heard the click, and then monitor comes on, and it boots up. And again, I'm using the original buttons, original joysticks. They're okay. I mean, I really don't have any major issues. I know you're probably thinking with Street Fighter games this is a little awkward, and yes, it is kind of awkward to use this layout, but I'm used to it. It works. Of course, it works great for Mortal Kombat because that's what it was designed for. Anyway, emulation station. It's loading. Great little interface program. So I've got obviously I'm using the Wolfenos, I think that's what it's called, 32 gigabyte arcade edition that was cleaned up for Arcade1Up. So basically he took away the bezels, I think, and a couple other things. But I've actually since added a lot of retro consoles, because his image just had arcade games, but I've added Atari. So basically I downloaded a 64 gigabyte console image, and I just put them all on a 64 gigabyte flash drive, combined it with Wolfenos's image. And so I've got Atari, Coleco, Famicom. I'm using the controller to move this. I probably, again, of course the controller works, but I can also use the joystick. So Master System, Sega, Neo Geo, Nintendo, PC Engine, PlayStation, 32X, Sega CD, SG-1000. I had a lot of retro consoles, and they all work great. They work, kind of like they did back in the day. So what I also really like, which is a feature that you can do, is to add scan lines, which you can't do on the original Mortal Kombat PCB with Arcade1Up. So I'll show you. Just go to my favorites, and obviously you can hear the sound. Now the sound is turned all the way down. That's because right now you see it's all the way down. You will hear sound on the attract mode, but when you're in the game, so it'll be muted, and you can control the volume while you're in the game. But on the attract mode, you're always going to hear sound. That's just the way it is. So if I go down to Mortal Kombat, I want to show you what I really like, the scan line feature, because scan lines is how the game was supposed to look. All their old retro arcade games, they all had scan lines. So in my opinion, that's the way it needs to play. So I'm going to actually turn the volume up, middle, and my TV's on in the background. I probably should have muted it, but so you can probably kind of hear very low right now, but turn it high. And so if you can tell, scan lines, it just makes the picture look, scan lines just kind of makes the picture look a lot better, the way it was meant to be seen. And of course I'm loading Mortal Kombat, which is obviously my favorite game. This is why I got the Mortal Kombat cabinet, because this is my all-time favorite game since childhood, so really happy with the way this turned out. But yeah, it sounds great. Like I said, the volume works. Turn it up, switch it, I can mute it. But yeah, so I mean it's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. So want to go back. Let me just, so like I said, To go back, you hold the coin button and the start button. Sorry, I have to kind of use my hand. So to go back, and again, I've got the Street Fighter games. These are just my favorites, but of course Neo Geo games. I love the Neo Geo games. So Champion Edition, this is one of my favorite games. It was also on Genesis, which I really thought was a good version of it. So like I said, the layout with Street Fighter is kind of awkward. These two buttons are actually the fierce punch and fierce kick, and these are the medium and light punch. So it's a little awkward, but I just kind of hold it like this. But I mean, it works. Like I said, I'm used to it. But obviously, Street Fighter with scan lines, volume. The thing you have to consider with certain games, the volume will be louder and softer. So I just kind of go into the RetroPie menu, and you can control the volume through there. It gets kind of annoying if you have to do it with multiple games, but it hasn't been too bad. So anyway, just leave that medium. So the last thing I want to show you. So when you shut it down, like I mentioned, it'll shut it down safely. Since the RetroPie is essentially a PC, you do want to shut it down safely. And then after it shuts down completely, it'll cut power to everything. So when I hit the off switch, you'll see that it runs its shutdown script. And then, I don't know if you heard that click, but that click turned power off to everything. So it's completely off. So if the power ever goes out and comes back on, then the monitor won't come on, and all this, it'll stay off because the switch is off. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to show y'all my setup. Didn't make any major cosmetic changes. I like the original, plexiglass and design. I just kind of want to keep that. The only modification was this, which is fine, no big deal. So yeah, anyway, thanks. Hope you like it. And, you can drop some comments and let me know if maybe I need to do something different or have any questions about anything. So, all right.